Yes, welcome back. We are still dealing with thrombosis. The first cause we have said is when the arteries become more fibrous, losing their elastic nature. 2, there can be accumulation of cholesterol on the artery walls. Cholesterol is present in most of the animal products. Butter, ghee, those animal products which you love most. That's where you get a lot of cholesterol. Normally, it is advisable to take or consume more vegetable products as opposed to the animal products. So cholesterol accumulation on the walls of the arteries can also result into this situation that we call thrombosis. Another one is internal bleeding due to formation of, which may lead to the formation of blood clot in the arteries. So again, internal bleeding can cause the blood to clot within the arteries. When you have a blood vessel which has been severed within the body internally, then that one will cause bleeding within the body that can cause a clot within the arteries. Now, the blood clot normally blocks. What does the blood clot do? Because we are talking about clotting. The blood clot may hinder. It blocks the blood artery and then hinders oxygen supply to the body organs. So when the clot forms, the supply of oxygen to the body organs is hindered. And this one can result into 2 situations. One, it can result into coronary thrombosis. Now, coronary, you remember the coronary artery and coronary veins. So when these ones are blocked due to clotting of the blood within the blood vessels, then what happens? There is no enough supply of blood. And this one will cause what we call coronary thrombosis. So blood supply to the heart, if blocked, then nutrients and oxygen cannot reach the heart. When the blood supply to the heart is blocked due to the effect or clotting of the blood in the coronary artery, then supply of nutrients and oxygen to the heart is severe, is actually affected. And this one may result into heart attack, what we call myocardial infarction, which leads to death. When you hear somebody has a heart attack, it means the heart is not receiving enough oxygen and enough nutrients. Why? Because of coronary thrombosis. That is the clotting of the blood in the arteries that supply the blood with the nutrients and oxygen. So the heart will not obtain enough supply of oxygen and nutrients. You call it myocardial infarction or heart attack. Then there is what we call stroke. You have heard of so-and-so has stroke. These are prominent people, some of them are dying of stroke. What is this stroke? Now, there's a kind of thrombosis that we call cerebral thrombosis. Cerebral thrombosis occurs when the heart, when the blood clot occurs in the blood vessels, taking blood to the brain cells. So when the clot is in the blood vessels that supplies nutrients and oxygen to the brain cells, then what will result is called cerebral thrombosis, which we normally refer to as stroke. So this one may lead to stroke, which may result into what? Death. Why stroke? Because the brain cells are not receiving the nutrients and even oxygen. So the brain cells will not function normally. You end up having what we call stroke, cerebral thrombosis. And then we have another defect which we call arteriosclerosis. Arteriosclerosis is the hardening or narrowing of the artery walls. If the artery wall, if the lumen was of that size, arteriosclerosis will result from certain materials getting deposited on the inner walls. If some materials get deposited on the inner walls, what will happen? This thing will become more narrow, much narrow. It will not allow enough volume of blood to pass through. So that situation where now those blood vessels have become, arteries have become very narrow because of deposits, deposition of certain materials on the inner walls is what we refer to as arteriosclerosis. What are the causes? One, deposition of calcium in the artery walls, making them less elastic. So this material here, this material which are deposited, one can be calcium materials. So calcium salts can get deposited. Two, buildup of cholesterol. Now cholesterol is coming in again. Cholesterol, if you want to have a healthy circulatory system, avoid cholesterol. So again, cholesterol may get deposited there and cause narrowing of those blood capillary or veins. Now, what are the effects? What normally brings about all these problems of deposition of cholesterol, all this arteriosclerosis? Now, so when these things are deposited, then these things normally result, that deposit will result in high blood pressure. High blood pressure. Why? Because now the arteries have become more narrower. The lumen is much narrow, causing the heart to work overtime. See, to push the blood in a normal artery is very easy, because normal diameter. To push the blood again, when now the artery has become, the lumen is very small, the diameter is very small, now the heart must supply excessive force. That excessive force will what results in high blood pressure. So it is associated with, now this condition, what normally accelerates it? One is aging. Aging, most of the people who are aged, advancing years, will find that they have this problem of arteriosclerosis. Overweight, you must control your weight. And then psychological and emotional stress. You must be mature emotionally and psychologically so that you can not be overstressed by certain issues in life. So this condition is associated with aging, overweight, and psychological or emotional stress. And the cholesterol may combine with other cellular wastes. So cholesterol can also combine with other things, cellular wastes, like and also calcium and other deposits to form a plaque, what we call a plaque. A plaque is like a scale, a solid material forming on the inner walls. They look like scales. So these solid materials that get deposited on the inner walls of the arteries will restrict the blood flow, will not allow the blood flow to occur smoothly. Will not allow the blood flow to occur smoothly. Now, finally, we look at varicose veins. Number 3, a varicose veins is a condition where superficial veins, especially at the back of the legs, become swollen due to failure of some valves to function. Veins have valves, and those superficial veins which are found at the back of the leg, sometimes their valves become rigid. So those valves cannot function. They cannot open and close easily because of the rigidity. They have become fibers. Now, if they have become fibrous, they cannot function easily. The blood flow is what? Restricted. The flow of the tissue fluid will also get restricted. So how do we control it? Regular exercise. So make sure, like now you are at home, at around 4 in the morning, wake up and go for some jogging. Jog around for 1 hour. When it is around 6, you can now settle down, you bathe. Now you can do your activities. So make sure you do regular exercise. And again, wearing compression stockings to enhance circulation. Normally, if you go for medication in case you have varicose veins, the doctor will recommend that you wear compression stockings to enhance circulation. Like last time, our retired president Kibaki had some funny shoes, and people were saying that Kibaki is wearing some outdated shoes. But those shoes were meant to enhance circulation in the legs, the blood circulation, to prevent varicose veins. So go and research on that compression stockings, so that you see how they look like, and even the shoes that are normally used by such people. Otherwise, thank you for listening. Let us meet in the Google Classroom.